We are in the most auspicious midnight sandhya of the year. The midnight hour on the Mahashivaratri night is the most significant sandhya kala in the entire year. Sandhya means it's a time of transition. Nature is going through a certain phase of transition. This transition also allows us, the human creature, if willing, to transit from one dimension to another. As I said earlier, this is not some kind of a sorcery. All this fire, don't think some sorcery is being performed. This is a very fantastic science, an experiential science. The laboratory is not of human-made instruments, test tubes and conical flasks. The laboratory is the very universe itself. It's our privilege. Though we're such a small speck of a creature in this creation, still the creation has bestowed us with a sense of individuality which gives us the ability to experience life. It allows us the possibility that we can sit here and look at the universe as if it's separate from us. Though we are just a tiny drop in the entire making, this is a privilege we have. But there is a history on all levels of privileges being misused, privileges being abused. Well, that's human history. For a long time, we have begun to think that we are actually a separate existence by ourselves. So in this context, the seven sages, those who are today referred to as Saptarishis, who are the first disciples of Adi Yogi, they asked, looked up at the empty, limitless sky, and they asked, how big is this cosmos? Where does it begin? Where does it end? How long would it take for us to travel from one end to another? Adi Yogi laughed at their childish question and said, your entire cosmos, I can pack it into your mustard seed. That's some efficient packing, huh? Then they were flabbergasted by this. How could somebody pack what is seemingly a limitless cosmos into your mustard seed? But when he said, I can pack it into your mustard seed, now they don't know whether this cosmos is big or small. So they pursued the same question in another vein. So they asked, if we have to master this universe, what do we have to do? What does it take for us? Same question, another way. By now he was bored with their questions. He simply said, 5. If you master these 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air and space or akash, just 5. If you master these 5 elements, you have mastered the whole cosmic space, that which is created and that which is yet to be created. Today I thought I will reveal to you. People keep asking me, Sadhguru, we can see you're uneducated and obviously everybody knows that I don't have a moment to read or refer or consult. So they keep asking me, Sadhguru, where is all this coming from? Where is this knowledge from? So today I thought I will reveal the key. I will give away the key to this knowledge. The question is only, will you be awake enough to grab it when I throw it, or will you… Hello? Let me hear some life, huh? Because you must understand, sleep and death are brothers. They're not very different. You may be dying 6 to 8 hours a day which is 25 to 33% of the day one is dead. So one important dimension of yoga is to master sleep, because if one does not know how to stay awake, one will not know how to stay aware. So life is like this, distracted life. In this state, one will not see anything except the most obvious that is necessary for survival. It is with keenness of attention that many doors in the universe can open. I would say, if your attention is keen enough, there is no door in the universe which will not open for you. So, a little while later, I will give away the key to you. Let me see how many… It's good, the echo is saying 3 times, how many? Very good. How many of you will you blossom into knowing? Because unfortunately, today's education systems have confused the hell out of you with a heap of information about everything. Information is not knowing. Information is useful for survival. Information is not useful for knowing, experiencing. So we are talking about a science which is experiential in nature, not informative. Because unless you experience something, it's not really true for you, it's just another story. You read a high school textbook, science textbook, and you think you know science. No, you're just believing a book. That's like religion, nothing scientific about it. Unless you know something experientially, it's not true for you. So I'm not talking about me giving you some information. I'm talking about a key. A key. Suppose I gave you a key. Let's say you do not know the concept of lock and key, and I gave you a key, a small metal piece. You don't know what it is, you looked at it. Maybe you put it in your ears and did this, you used it to scratch yourself, or you discarded it. Because a key is a useless thing unless you know how to put it into that specific hole and turn it in a particular way. Then it can open up a whole new world. So a key is a dimension. A key is a dimensional possibility. A key is not information. A key is not accumulation. Unfortunately, most people today have misunderstood accumulation of information as knowing. So in this context, when they asked how to grasp, how to master this cosmos, the yogi said 5. Mahashivaya. Na means earth, Ma is water, Shi is fire. I think a lot of you know this, Shi is fire. Va is air, Ya is space. Namah Shivaya. He told them just 5 things. Just 5 things. Look at the mischief. Just with 5 things, how much has happened in creation? So, this is not through the straitjacket of logic. This is an order. This is a dimension, like a forest, not like a manicured garden. For one who looks at things superficially, a well-kept garden looks like order. Forest looks like chaos. But tell me, look at this little more profoundly. The forest has a perfect order. It has a perfect system of its own. Otherwise, it would not have lasted for 1,000,000 years or more. A garden, however well-designed garden it is, if you do not tend to it for a month, probably it's gone. So we are talking about a different dimension of order, like a forest, which on the surface looks chaotic, but is in perfect order. The very longevity says that it's in order, otherwise it wouldn't exist. The yogi, when he referred to Mahashivaya, he's talking about mantra. Mantra is that dimension of sound which is mathematically perfect. Music is melodious when it's mathematically correct, but music has invested too much into aesthetics. But a mantra is not about aesthetics, it's pure mathematics. There are school children here, I think I'm hearing, they're saying, Sadhguru, once again if you say mathematics, we'll fall asleep right here. Well, I'm not talking about that kind of mathematics. not about 2 plus 2, A plus B equals C, not that kind of mathematics. I'm talking about a mathematics that doesn't have equations of simple logic. I'm talking about mathematics which has brought order to this seemingly chaotic cosmos. So Adiyogi chooses to offer this in different ways to different people. Well, he was different things to different people, always. You have definitely, even in the calendar images, seen Adiyogi as a yogi, of course. But he is a hunter for the hunters, a farmer for the farmers, and of course a dancer. This is the only culture where our gods dance. I cannot come to terms with a god who cannot dance. So he offers the same possibility in 3 different ways to the 7 sages, the Saptarishis. He talks about elaborate science, he propounds various theories and dimensions, 112 methodologies, elaborate systems, 112 systems. That is why here, symbolically, Adiyogi is standing up 112 feet tall. Anyway, I want to inform you, today the tourism department, the Ministry of Tourism of Government of India has recognized Adiyogi as a part of Incredible India site. Incredible, isn't he? So, Adiyogi offers it in 3 different dimensions. To the 7 sages, he expounds a profound science with 112 different dimensions and systems. In fact, the 7 sages actually ask Adiyogi, do we need so many systems? After all, human beings are human beings. Just a few systems, maybe 3, maybe 10, maybe 12 would be enough. 112. Do we need this many systems? Do we need to master this many? Do we need to know this many? So Adiyogi said, right now, you may not be able to recognize this. As human intellect evolves, and this is fantastic that he says, when a time comes when there is no work on a man's hands, when that time comes, 112 methods will become necessary because human mind will take on every possible form that it can. He's talking about today's age, the age of technology, when men's hands have no physical work. See how many of you become slowly like the globe? Because there is no work on the hand. 15,000 years ago, he talks about a time where time will come when men will have no work on their hands. At that time, their mind will take on so many formations that you will need all these methods. So he goes about with the 7 sages with extreme sense of mathematics and logic. Then in between, Parvati asks questions. He smiles at her and says, "The Divine One, you don't bother about these things." She feels insulted, so she thinks he is trying to avoid her because she doesn't have the necessary intellect like the seven sages. So she says, "No, there must be more. There must be more ways than 112. So look at this, the men are looking at, why 112? Can't we make it simpler? But the women like variety. She says, why only 112? Why can't there be more? And Adiyogi says, no, there aren't any more, there are only 112, just leave it. She feels insulted. In front of these people, you kind of brushing me aside. So she says, I will go and find more ways than 112. Adiyogi says, do what you want. She goes away for a long period of time into severe austerity. But Adiyogi continues with the seven people, and after a long period, she comes back. And she comes and sits one step below him. The teaching is still going on because this is a scientific exposition, it goes on and on. But she comes and sits one step below. She's his wife, she can come and sit here. But she sits one step below just to indicate she wants only him to know, she does not want others to know. A beautiful imagery of that on the screen. She does not want these seven guys to know that she has failed, but she wants him to know. So she sits one step below. And this exposition goes on. Then in between, Parvati asks one more question. Shiva looks at her with a deep sense of intimacy and says, sweet one, you don't bother about that, come sit here. So she again resists. She thinks that he's trying to treat her in a patriarchal way. Oh, just sit on my lap, don't worry about all that. Man's trick. He shakes his head, that's not it, come and sit here. When she comes and sits here, he just pulls her in and she fills one half of him. That's how he became an Ardhanari. He just included her. In that inclusion, she knew everything that he knows. But the seven sages were still learning, but she realized everything out of simple inclusion. He just made her one half of himself. The seven sages are getting a scientific exposition, she just gets included in a moment and she realizes all his buddies, the ganas, they are distorted, demented beings, they don't have human form. So human beings around thought these are some crazy creatures. So they looked at this, these guys seem to be learning something, Parvati seems to be in ecstasy. They said, what about us? He said, you don't bother about this. So he said, just drink me, that's all. You guys don't bother about enlightenment, knowledge, self-realization, nonsense, that's not for you. You just drink off me, everything will be fine. So they just got drunk on him. When the Saptarishis asked, what is enlightenment, where is it? He gave them an elaborate path He created a distance which they had to walk. When Parvati asked what is enlightenment, he said, it's right here. There's no distance to walk, there is no pathway, it's just inclusion, right here. When the Ganas asked, we want to know enlightenment, he laughed and said, there is no such thing as enlightenment. Forever, this has been a land of debate, of questions, never of commandments, especially when entities considered divine appeared. People saw it as a possibility to raise questions, to bring clarity, not to settle for a confidence that is bred out of belief. This is not about getting to a falsehood of certainty that one assumes with belief. This is about celebrating our uncertainty. This is about working for clarity, not for blind confidence. Our past is animal nature. If we become conscious enough to stay in the present, we become human. Very easily we can slip back into animal nature. Those of you just falling asleep, I'm reminding you, you just slipping back. That whether your eyes are open or closed is no more a conscious process. It just happens by itself. No. It's important that we remember that we have evolved out of animal nature. This is the time to enjoy our human nature, and this is only possible if we are conscious and in the present. If we want to be in the present, we have to be conscious. But the future is beckoning. Divine nature is beckoning us in future. This means the possibility of evolving beyond the dimensions or definitions of what we consider as human is right here for every one of us. The question is only, will we step forward or will we step backwards? Will we move into our divine possibility or will we step back into our animal past? This is a constant challenge, this is a constant possibility that human beings are struggling with. This is a night of wakefulness. Jagaran means not just wakefulness, means a night of awakening. If this is your night of awakening, we must step forward into the divine possibility, not backwards into our animal past. This is not all about an intense being, stillness, dancing, science, mathematics. He is also bhole. So are his disciples or his devotees. There are many beautiful stories about how his devotees transcended everything out of absolute innocence and simplicity. In Tamil Nadu, I think nobody would have not heard of Pusalar, the great sage of the past, a devotee. Pusalar was a very poor man living in a small hut in the outskirts of the town. The king, the great king, built a very elaborate temple which took him many years and much money. He had completed the temple and the next day was inauguration of this great temple that he had built. That night, Shiva appeared in his dream and said, "I know you have built a wonderful temple for me, but I will not be able to come for the inauguration of your temple because I am going to Pusalar's temple. Pusalar also has built another temple, I need to go there, I won't be able to come to your temple." The king was aghast, he sat up in his sleep, shocked. Early morning he started off wanting to look for this Pusalar, where is he? Who is this man who's built a better temple than me? I am the king here. So he went looking and then he went into the poorest segment of the city and then found a small dilapidated hut and he called out, "Who is Pusalar here?" A very skinny, barely clothed man came out terrified. "I am Pusalar, why, what's wrong? Oh my king, why have you come to my house?" Then the king said, "I have built a great temple, you know that, but Shiva appeared in my dream and said, he is coming to your temple, not to my temple. Where is your temple? Where have you built?" Pusalar was a bit embarrassed. He said, "Oh my king, where will a poor man like me build a temple? I just built a temple in my heart. It took many years, brick by brick, stone by stone, slowly I built this temple. It took me a long time, but my temple is just complete." And Shiva said he will come to my temple tomorrow. So this year everybody's been asking me, "Sadhguru, last time our Prime Minister came for Mahashivaratri, this time who is coming?" I told them, "Yogi is coming." I invited him and he's accepted the invitation. Not because we built up a big image of him here. I'm sure he's not impressed by this image, not am I. But we built a wonderful temple in our heart. He cannot ignore that, he has to be here. On a certain day, a Gnana Yogi means one who employs his intellect as the basic tool of knowing. He came to Yogi and said, "I very much appreciate the many things that you have expounded. Sounds very scientific, logically correct, but a whole lot of your devotees are always shouting your name, Shambho, Shiva, and going around doing crazy things. How do you allow these people, these crazy people who will simply shout Shiva, Shambho and jump around? What kind of science is that? You should not allow these things." So Yogi said, "See here, do you see that little worm crawling? Just go near the worm and say, Shiva Shambho." Said, "Why not?" And went to the worm and said, "Shiva Shambho, The worm just fell dead right there. The Gnana Yogi was shocked. The mantra kills. Yes, it does. What is the purpose of this? I utter the mantra and the poor creature dies. The Adi Yogi said, leave that. Here, a butterfly. See, butterfly. Say Shiva Shambho to that. But he was hesitant now. I don't want to kill a butterfly. Doesn't matter, say Shiva Shambho to butterfly. He said, Shiva Shambho, poof, the butterfly died. Then now he was aghast, what is this? What is the point of this kind of mantra? This looks like a gun, Shiva Shambho, boom, they're dead. Then a young fawn, a young deer was romping around. Adiyogi said, look at the deer and say Shiva Shambho. Said, no, I'm not going to do this. Adiyogi said, just do it. He said, Shiva Shambho. The deer fell dead right there. Just then, a couple came with a little infant in their hand for blessing. Adiyogi looked at the little child and said, say Shiva Shambho to this child. He said, no way, you're not going to make me do that. I am not going to kill this child. Just then, this little infant sat up and spoke, I was a worm, you uttered the mantra, I became a butterfly, you uttered the mantra, I became a deer, you uttered the mantra, I've become human, please say it, let me become divine. The foundation, the key for everything that I am and everything that happens in the name of Isha is just this one sound, this one mantra. I'm talking about a key. We'll do a simple thing, very simple thing, but this will start a new process in your life. This is the key. As I said, key is a phenomenal instrument only if you know how to use it, otherwise it's just a piece of metal. So is a mantra. Today modern science is beginning to recognize that the entire universe is just a reverberation of energy. Where there is a vibration, there is bound to be a sound. So, universe is a complex amalgamation of sounds. In this web, an enormous, limitless web of sounds, a few key sounds have been identified, which we refer to as mantra. It's very important that the mantra, a specific mantra, goes into the right keyhole and you turn it the right way. Any number of times I see people doing this. You give them a key, they do not know which way to turn it, they'll do this way, this way, this way, this way. It's not going to work like that. You have to turn it in a specific way, depending upon the nature of the lock, depending upon the nature of that dimension, accordingly it works. So, we will do this mantra in a particular way. I want you to listen to the instructions carefully, before that the translation, please.
अपने बाएं हाथ को हथेली को ऊपर की ओर करके रखें। आप में से जो लोग बैठे हुए हैं,
Loose, without any tension, just loose. You must imagine that your hand or your arm is like a rope. Take your right hand use any finger, you can just block your right nostril. Don't do it yet, just listen to me. You block your right nostril and inhale fully, forcefully like that, and all the air that you have gathered with the inhalation should go out with one sound, like this. Shambho. Shambho. नाम
आपका बायां हाथ आपको खुला रखना है। अपना दायां हाथ लेकर अपने दाएं हाथ की किसी भी उंगली का प्रयोग कीजिए और अपनी दाईं नासिका को बंद कीजिए और बाईं नासिका से पूरी तरह से तेजी के साथ सांस अंदर लीजिए और जितनी सांस आपने अपनी फेफड़ों में भरी है, बस एक बार शंभु कहते हुए वो पूरी सांस आपको बाहर छोड़ देनी है। आप दाहिने नासिका को बंद कीजिए, बाईं नासिका से पूरी तरह से सांस अंदर लीजिए और शंभु कहते हुए एक ही झटके में पूरी की पूरी सांस बाहर छोड़ दीजिए। जरा सा ऊपर उठे चेहरे के साथ बैठिए, आंखें बंद कीजिए, चेहरा जरा सा ऊपर उठा हुआ। अपनी दाईं नासिका को बंद कीजिए और
Take a full breath.
एक गहरी सांस अंदर लीजिए।
Shambho. 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 Just sit still. Keep your eyes closed. Just sit still. அப்படியே கண்ணு மூடி அசைவு இல்லாம உட்காரணும்.
बिल्कुल स्थिर होके बैठिए, आंखें बंद रखिए, बिल्कुल स्थिर होके बैठिए।
Keep your eyes closed and just sit still, unmoving. Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho, Shambho, Shiva Shambho. Slowly, very slowly, please open your eyes. எல்லாருமே மெதுவா கண் திறக்கலாம்.
धीरे धीरे, बहुत धीरे धीरे अपनी आंखें खोलिए.